Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And tonight we have a very special guest.
The Gamer in Yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we have Pokemon Blood Edition and Pokemon Blood Red Edition. So for those of you just tuning in, creepypasta are scary campfire stories that get copied and pasted across the internet. You can Google it for a little bit more information, but that's pretty much it. So, Pokemon Blood Edition and Pokemon Blood Red. Pokemon Blood Edition, for starters, was done by
CreepyPasta Jr,
who's a YouTube creepypasta reader, and we'll just dive right into the rundown for that one. So, the narrator is recalling this childhood account when he was 9 or 10, and he and his friend Steve got themselves Game Boy Advances. And they went to the store to go get the Pokemon game, but there's no Pokemon games left, except for the one that the clerk had in the back of the back room. So they decide to save or combine their monies together, a whole $20, and buy this under the counter game apparently, because Steve goes to the clerk and just kind of slips him a 20, and then gets the game, puts it in his pocket, and walks out the building. Like a fucking drug bust.
pretty much.
And
then after that, the clerk just kind of walks away.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know what fucking cartridge ever cost $20.
I know, right? Like,
brand
I
new.
can't even get a Pokemon game cartridge now that's that price. Like, used.
Well, now, because it's retro. And,
Yeah.
It's supply and demand. You see, the clerk saw these two kids really wanted it, and this is the only Pokemon game here. So
And this one was
I'm going
like-
to squeeze these two kids for whatever they
For
got.
$20.
For $20. But what I'm saying is how was it so little?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just, yeah. Anyway.
So, so Steve gets the game for the first week, and the guy's kind of bummed out. He really wants to play it, but he decides to wait and be a good friend and stuff. Doesn't hear from Steve for the week.
Well,
and
they
then
had a verbal contract. He didn't have a legal leg to stand on. He had to wait.
Yeah. So he waits the week, and then he finds on the news that there's a missing child report thing, and it's Steve. So he runs over to Steve's place. His parents are grieving, and apparently he left a note with, like, I can't remember if it's red ink or just blood.
It said dark red ink.
Yeah, dark red ink saying game over.
But it could be blood for all we know.
Yeah. And then he asks, can he go up to his room?
Man. Game over.
All right there, Bill Paxton.
Someone had to. I'm just getting it out of the way.
Fair enough. So he asks to go to Steve's room, and he goes and looks around and muddles through stuff, disrupting a crime scene.
Of course.
And then finds the game cartridge.
Not a crime scene.
Right, yeah.
There is nothing saying that he went missing from his bedroom.
All right, that's true.
Yeah, it just says missing in general. So,
Yeah.
And then he finds the game cartridge and picks it up and tosses it in his pocket.
Steals
and
it.
Yeah, legit,
He literally just goes to his house, doesn't care that his friend's gone.
Oh,
He's
that's
just,
so
I just
sad.
want my game.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap. I
Pretty
give
much.
you my money, I want my game.
Yeah. So he goes into he goes home, and his parents are heading out for like a dinner or something.
Well, no. First, he tries to play the game,
Yes.
but it doesn't work. He puts
it
into his Game Boy Advance and turns it on. He's like, "What the fuck? It won't turn on." Even though I just put fresh batteries in, and that part threw me for a bit because I didn't have a Game Boy Advance. I had a Game Boy Advance SP, so I had the built-in battery.
Yeah.
But then I caught on.
Yeah.
So he changes the batteries, and it still doesn't work.
It's weird.
And it's like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Except he's like 9, so he's like,
Super bummed.
Oh, Peppy.
Mama effer.
Yeah. Oh, shucks.
They said he's like 9 or 10, not fucking Beaver.
That's an age too, right, Beaver? Everyone goes through that age.
So,
And if you don't get what I mean by Beaver, if you think
they might think it's something else. Unfortunately, they might have like replaced the V with a B. Unfortunately, I don't know. Sorry, audience. Anyway,
Bieber is what he's saying.
Yeah, I know, I just don't know why. because beaver is also slang for vagina.
Anywho, so he wants to play the game and he's pissed off that he can't. So, but gets back onto it, and it suddenly works. And the game is really weird in that the intro is like hyper realistic, and like there's like the Pokemon in the battle of the intro are like killing each other. And then he goes to the main intro screen, and there's a pre-generated like save file. But it's not Ash, it's not Steve, it's John, which is our main character's name. So he jumps into the save file, and he's on a cliff on the side of Mount Moon, and his character has like a full set of Pokemon. It's essentially Ash's roster from the show, not the games. So it's like Charizard, or yeah, it's the one I can't recall which one.
Charmander, Squirtle, Butterfree,
Pidgeotto,
and Pikachu.
Except one of them is blacked out.
Right, one of them is blacked out.
Yeah, the sixth one is blacked out, and he doesn't know which Pokemon it is. And he just figures it's fainted or something. So he goes into the cave off the ledge, but then he's pushed back in as Professor Oak shows up, kind of going on about how like Gary should have been you were the best, but you weren't the master, and some depressing stuff. And then after another like prompting for the dialogue, he says something else, and just like the same kind of stuff. You have to be a master to control them, and then walks off the ledge, and the screen kind of shakes as if somebody has hit the ground below, and there's a scream. So guy goes into the cave, and it's completely black, and then he hears a voice in there, or like a dialogue prompts. It's like, "Boy, it's really dark in here," and it's James from Team Rocket, and he uses
James from Team Rocket didn't say it. Like, he walks in. No, the prompt saying, "Boy, it's dark in here," is his character commenting on how it's dark in here. Oh, and then he bumps into him.
Okay.
Because when you walk into a cave in Pokemon, when it's dark, they say that to remind you.
Holy crap, it's been a while since I've actually
played to remind you that, you can use Flash to be able to see.
Gotcha, okay. Would you like to continue with the rundown?
No,
go!
You're doing good.
Okay.
I suppose.
Okay.
Good enough.
Yeah, you guys can correct it.
Exactly.
We always do.
Yeah.
At least I always do. And he is too.
Yeah. So he encounters James from Team Rocket, and he's saying stuff about how like Jessie was too stubborn, she wasn't the best or anything like that, and he uses wheezing, and then it uses a power like a power that wasn't able to it's never used before, called suffocation.
I think that's the first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it kills him, and then kills James. And it literally says, like, Weezing has died. And then it says...
It kills his Pokemon, too.
Yeah, and kills his Pokemon, too.
Actually, it doesn't say Weezing's died. It says Charmander has died.
Oh.
But, yes,
then,
Weezing... The fight's over.
Yeah, the fight's over, and then it says James has died. And then he does this kind of the same kind of rigmarole with Ash and Gary. I think Gary was still... Isn't that right?
I don't think he was.
No. Is it just Ash?
I remember Ash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ash.
All right. And it's the same kind of stuff. Like it's we need to be only a master can control them, and then they end up offing themselves, or just dying.
And all the
so
Pokemon are
really
like
depressing.
killing his Pokemon in like
like a haunter,
conventional means.
Yeah, like a haunter shows up, and he's Butterfree, won't do anything, and then it just dies.
Yeah, like when he chooses Butterfree, it just says Butterfree can't do anything because it's too scared.
Yeah. And then the haunter runs off, and so John starts climbing up this ladder. There's also there's also signs in this place that are saying only a Pokemon Master can control them, stuff like that. And then he goes up to the very top of Mount Moon and confronts this shadowy figure who turns out to be a Pokemon Master. And then after like a horrible battle of death, like all his Pokemon are just getting creamed by the other guy's Pokemon, who are all like these zombified versions of Pokemon.
Yeah. Did he have multiple Pokemon?
Or he had a Charizard, he had a Squirtle, he had
you're right.
Pikachu, Bulbasaur. And eventually, like all his Pokemon are pretty much gone.
Well, they have one battle, and Asshat in the shadow kills all of them. And then he's like, and then he gets a prompt like, are you a Pokemon Master? Yeah. He's like, I got a second chance. And he's like, yes. And then he gets to use a revive, and that's when he gets his Pikachu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes up against the Pokemon Master one last time, and this time it's his Pikachu versus the Pokemon Master's Pikachu. However, the Pokemon Master's Pikachu uses a Shadow Ball that traps and tortures and then kills Pikachu. And the Pokemon Master is like, you aren't a Pokemon Master, and the game ends. And freaks this guy out like hardcore. Cut back to like the guy like who was narrating this whole thing, saying that like he's never told anybody about this save his psychiatrist. And then his son has come to him one day and said that he wants to be a Pokemon Master like Steve. And John tries to correct him, saying it's like, well, don't you mean Ash? Or he's like, no, it's Steve. And then the kid just walks back to his room with a smile, and that's the end of the story.
Which I don't get.
Yeah. I don't really get it either. Was that supposed to be like a prompt for like, telling this whole story, or?
I'm assuming it's to lead us to believe that like the kid's playing the game now.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But
that's what I figured. Yeah. But the save file was Johnny.
Yeah.
And in the game, it didn't reference Steve at all.
Like, I could see maybe if, like, the Pokemon Master was supposed to be Steve.
If he was named Steve.
Yeah, but we never get that.
We never get that. Or if, missing Steve has grown up and become, like, a for realsies Pokemon Master. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's too ambiguous. There's just no actual statement of this is why you're supposed to be freaky.
Yeah.
And like without that statement of this is the reason you're freaked out, you're not freaked out. Not that I was freaked out at all, but
yeah. I mean, like it tries to build some atmosphere. It's like, it gives us like some very common.
It's supposed to have this dun 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 ending,
there is,
but it doesn't.
Like,
it's just like
instead of ending, it just kind of stops.
Yeah, it just kind of stops. Like why
it doesn't end? It's just over.
Yeah,
which isn't the same thing.
Yeah,
no,
there is no like conclusion. It's just
there's a conclusion. It stops.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
Like, it's almost like he was going with, like, my son told me about this thing that reminded me of this, kind of. But then he told us at the end of it, and then that was all he had to say, and so he just walked away. He dropped the mic and just walked away. Like, I'm saying, like the reason why he's telling us the story...
I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Well, because he doesn't... See, in order to do that, he'd have to bookend this story.
Yeah.
And...
He doesn't.
The first part is... Like, it doesn't start with the bookend, except for, have you ever played a game that had to beat? Which, again, he never had to beat it.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't...
Like, kind of
I've had those games.
Yeah.
I love those games. They gnaw at the back of your mind while you were in school, just fucking like, E equals MC, that's what photosynthesis is, even though those are two unrelated things.
We get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're how the fuck do I take out Lavos in Chrono Trigger?
Yeah.
I remember that shit. That shit was awesome. Because then you get home and you're just like, fuck you, Lavos.
I've had a whole day to think of my strategy to defeat you.
And then he stomps your ass into the ground. 16 times in a row.
Are you okay, Dr. Levine?
Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Don't make me hit a bit. But this guy, he's just like, oh man, I guess I'm not a fucking Pokemon master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay.
I guess I'll wait 20 years and write about it in my blog.
Pretty much, yeah.
After my son reminds me of it.
Yeah, I don't get that, because he says in the end, he'd never told anyone except for his therapist.
Yeah.
So his son mentions his name. So because he never told anyone, I guess because his son mentioned the name, that makes it kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it's not really creepy, it's just kind of confusing.
Very little of this is actually creepy. I mean, it tries to pull off all the tropes of haunted video game pastas, like hyper-realism imagery and depressing themes like suicide and stuff like that, and like Pokemon death. And then even like the sound effects get like progressively more and more like immersed into his house. Like he starts hearing it like as loudly that it fills his house.
Yeah, but nothing happens to him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like nothing happens to the actual
player
kid playing the game.
Some stuff kind of happens, but not directly to him. Like when he's playing,
the lights
stuff
go
happens
out,
to his
but
area.
He's in no danger.
Yeah, I know
exactly.
Like I mean, if
his Pokemon like got hit by a slash or something like that, and suddenly he was cut. Like, that would be a little bit more effective.
Well, it might have elevated the suspense a little bit, at least more than like, oh no, my Pokemon's dead. Whatever.
Yeah.
go fucking catch a new one.
Yeah.
Here's a Pokeball.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's
Quit
just
your bitching.
It's just a different kind of a story, I guess, because there's a lot of different ways you can take it, right? So the way that I see this is he literally just got a game that's kind of just weird, but it's not really affecting him much other than his apparent best friend that he took a whole week to try to talk to disappear, and then on one walk home he completely forgets about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really understand how...
But even that was just like, you literally ripped off the Radioactive Man episode from Simpsons, where they all like, they bundle their money together to buy their comic or their game, and then they, like, the trouble start after one of them goes and takes it home and plays it.
Oh,
Or
really?
uses
reads it?
Or reads it in the case of the episode. But it's just like the same kind of thing.
That's
I mean, I'm
not
sure it's
what
been done
happened
elsewhere.
here, because it didn't play out like that. It just
It's
started out
what
like that.
It's what I was expecting, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's not what you got, so shut up.
Oh.
I will say this about this one, and I actually have the same thing to say about the other one, so I'm just going to get it out now. One thing that it did that pleased the ever-living shit out of me, it didn't make me sit and read about him catching all of these fucking Pokemon and getting to this point.
Yeah, it gets straight to the point.
It's just like, man, I'm gonna just start up this already created save file that's got like 100 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whew, dodged a fucking bullet there.
Yeah.
I was worried for a second. Holy shit.
Also, like, 100 hours into a fucking video game week?
Yeah. That's
hardcore. That's 4 fucking days.
yeah.
Solid.
It's actually over 4 days. That's
Yeah.
4 days and 4 hours. But, like, it's kind of some shit parenting.
Yeah.
Like,
Makes you wonder what
let's
the
assume-
parents were doing.
Let's assume that it's summer vacation, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to school for 8 hours or whatever it is a day.
Yeah.
This kid is not
He's
eating.
still got
not
to be able
sleeping.
to sleep for, 8 hours. I mean, like, whether or not he actually sleeps when, his parents send him off to bed. Eventually, a little kid's gonna get tired and fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's just, assume that. So, he's got 16 hours a day, so that's, doing shitty with the math here, but, he doesn't really have enough time to put that in.
He does have a full week because
he might have enough time, but it's, just enough.
Yeah, he finishes all right, I'm done. Run, run away.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Also, what the fuck happened to Steve?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't give us
It's
any
not
answers.
explained there.
It doesn't
At
even
all,
explain.
no.
It doesn't even hint what's going on.
Like, the thing I see with this is this Steve character could not be in the story and it would be the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he
didn't
could
really
have.
contribute anything.
He literally could have just bought the John kid could have gotten the game from that clerk for $20 by himself, brought it home, turned out it was a used
real
copy.
amount.
Or a real amount. Turns out it's a used copy, and it has somebody else had played it before them.
Doesn't even need that.
I'm just saying, that makes
Yeah.
more sense than adding the Steve character.
When you have a character who literally does not contribute anything, you might as well just cut them.
yeah,
I like that they tried to make real world consequences to it. It's just they didn't really capitalize on it because they introduced it, but they didn't really do anything with it.
yeah,
Because he's gone, but they didn't find out what happened.
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah, we never
Steve's
find out.
gone, but you fucking got a kid, so,
I don't know. The kid seems to get
Kudos.
over things really quickly and not really care too much about stuff. Because, a week, his friend's gone. He goes, steals the game back, so he instantly doesn't care.
Yeah, he's
Gets
instantly
home,
done.
walks home thinking about Steve. But as soon as he gets home, I gotta play that game.
Yeah,
And he tries it, doesn't work. Then
And
he,
he's super
he doesn't
bummed.
reference Steve for the rest of the time. And when he gets in the game, it takes 2 character deaths that are kind of disturbing for him to actually take a step back and go, "This is weird."
yeah.
That's when he first noticed it was weird, which I don't understand.
It's just. So, do you have anything else to say about this one?
No, I think that's good. That's at least for me. I'll go to my notes here.
yeah,
Pretty sure I talked about everything.
it was just bland.
Yeah, even for me, I've read a lot of these video game creepypastas. And I can see all the tropes in it, and those are usually what I like about these tropes. It's just they weren't really done very creatively in this. It just felt very blunt. It felt like any video game creepypasta.
And
So,
yet,
and yet,
none of them, because it was even just more boring.
Yeah, like...
Okay, no, it wasn't more boring, because the ones that have the, I played the game, and I did this, and this happened, and
It was
look
a little
at my
bit of
knowledge of
improvement
the
with that,
actual game, because I noticed that this was fucking different. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay? I really don't fucking care. So, at least this one didn't have that, but at the same time, the stakes were non-existent.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like the one we did. We discussed it like a while back.
If you
Yeah.
play...
where there's no consequences.
Yeah,
to
I did
It's
think
like
a lot
playing
about that
poker
one.
for buttons.
Yeah.
I don't care about buttons. So you know what? I got 210. Fuck it. All in.
Yeah.
It's buttons. My shirts are all fucking fully buttoned. I don't give a shit about these ones.
Yeah, it's just like it's the thing I'm noticing now with Pokemon games is that there doesn't seem to be any physical consequence to the person playing when they play these games. It's just the people are trying to make an emotional consequence or try to put a psychological spin on it, but it's just not really working out any of these ones that we've read. So, I mean, these are this one and then the one after that we're going to discuss in a second. And then the one that we did before, Lost Silver, there's never a consequence to the person.
Yeah.
Other than, oh, my childhood's ruined. Or, my childhood monsters and stuff that are all dying. Why? Like, there's no, you're not, the players aren't getting any, backlash.
Nothing
from
happens
this.
to them physically.
Exactly, yeah. Which I think would help up the situation a little bit if somebody would actually do that in a Pokemon creepypasta. But anyway, so onward to Pokemon Blood Red Edition, which is on the same site or website, on the same page as Pokemon Blood Edition, which is the creepypasta.wiki site.
Did this person write this as a different version of the one that they read
From what
before?
I understand, at least according to the description at the top of this page, it said that the one we just discussed was by CreepyPasta, and then the other one that we're about to discuss is kind of a slight different version of the same thing.
Reimagining of the same idea.
Pretty much.
Really? Because this one's a chick.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a slight reimagining.
I'm just saying what the description said at the bottom of the page.
Okay, I'm a man. If I turn myself into a chick, that is not a slight reimagining. That is major fucking surgery.
It's a point there.
That is true.
With hormone therapy, the whole 9 yards.
It's a little bit different when it's a literary thing.
It's a big difference, though.
No,
it's a big
difference.
It's a
Okay.
big reimagining of the same idea.
Fine. Jesus.
Basically, the way that this one goes is, I don't remember specifically how it starts, but it's,
A fucking kid
A little
wants
kid, yeah.
goddamn Pokemon game and a Game Boy Color for their birthday. They get it, and they play it, and they're all like, yeah! And they name all of their Pokemon, and they're all like, yeah! And they love it so much, and they're all like, yeah! And then, more Pokemon games come out, and they, yeah!
and they completely forget about the original one.
And they completely forget about the original one, but then, they move off to college, and, they're going through their shit packing for, moving into the dorm, and they find the box that they have the original red cartridge in, and they're like, yeah! So, they pack up the cartridge with them, because they're like, yeah! And then, they go and they put their, the old red cartridge into their,
Game Boy
new
SP.
folding Game Boy SP. So I'm like, yeah, bitch knows where it's at.
One thing, though, when she put it in, she did notice that, it's a lot darker red color for some weird reason.
Yeah.
That's the only
It's not really
difference so far.
She kind of ignores it because it's kind of weird, but
You
it's
know
like
what? I didn't even fucking pick that up. I read it.
so yeah. I don't know. It seemed like that's another thing. It's like people throw those kind of details into these pastas. Like, why is that? How would you notice that, or why is that really that weird? Unless it's eating.
It's because instead of it being red, it's blood red. That's the thing.
Because
That's
Blood
the name
Red
of
Edition.
Oh man!
Oh!
Yeah. I know. It just seems silly to me because we've been going through a bunch of these game pastas, and it's just those details pop up a lot of the time, like as if it's like supposed to be like foreboding,
a lot
but
of
it's never
useless details pop up all the goddamn time.
It's not necessarily useless. It's because, like, you could see physically on the copy, there's something weird here.
Yeah, and that actually plays up a little later.
It does.
Okay.
In this instance,
right? Yeah.
But most of the time, you're right. They have tiny little details
that,
and again,
I would never notice if I
like
picked up the
in
game.
the game.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many useless, pointless details all the time. I mean...
Oh, like the music and stuff.
Yeah.
But, okay, for this one...
Well, it's to get the reader immersed into the situation so they can understand what's going on for the player.
There's immersion, and then there's... Look at me and all of the fucking details I know about this game that I picked up these subtle nuances. Aren't I awesome masturbatory detail shit?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, they're two different things.
I suppose,
okay, the cartridge being a slightly darker shade of red. That's a slight detail.
Yeah.
Noticing that, this music isn't played here, it's played here in the fucking game.
Or the worst thing about it for this
care!
Yeah. Yeah. The worst thing about for this one is
it actually horrible? Is it painful to your ears? Are you bleeding? No?
Then it's not
okay.
Yeah. Like
anywho.
Yeah.
Continuing on.
Yeah, continuing on. I'll get to my thing after. Keep going.
Bitch fucking puts in her cartridge, plays it, and it's
Is it weird from the get-go in that one?
I think so.
I think I remember saying that she remembered. Somehow she remembered from 10 years when she was 10. She remembered exactly where she saved last time.
Yes.
But when she loaded it up, she was somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was she remembers she was in the Pokemon Center last time she saved, but she was no longer there. She was in Pokemon Tower.
The Pokemon Tower, yeah. So at least with this one so far, she's noticing that something's weird right away.
Yeah, like somebody's tampered with her game, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't have Blaze because that was what she named her very first
Pokemon.
Yeah, that's the one that she was like fangirling over the whole time.
The whole time, yeah.
It's just like it's been wrecking everything all these years and all that.
And then
she did realize the intro, her character looked like a lot more gaunt and had like a wound.
Oh right, it had like a hole in its chest, but she went like, "Oh, maybe it's an old game.
Maybe it's a glitch." What?
Maybe it's a glitch that made the character's eyes bleed. Yeah,
yeah. I've heard that glitch. It's called the.
Seems legit.
Whatever. Maybe it was. But yeah, Blaze is missing, and
there's no other.
She
Pokemon.
checks all of her. No,
she has all of her
other Pokemon. Honestly, her fucking team doesn't make any sense to me because I don't shit all. Pokemon.
If you're.
Well, she's got a full fucking roster.
The only difference being that
their sprites are all looking all haggard and
they all look like they're zombies. Basically,
yeah, that's actually exactly where I was going. I'm like, zombie Pokemon. I'm like, that's fucking horrifying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, so she climbs up the tower. I think she gets to the top of the tower is where she confronts...
Well, does anything happen between it?
I assume something does. No, she literally walks through the tower, and there's like, she doesn't encounter any... There's nothing. Like, she doesn't encounter any wild Pokemon.
No random encounters, nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is all literally covered in a fucking paragraph, and that's just beautiful, nice, succinct, right to the point.
Don't have to...
Then there's fucking Blaze, and he's all like,
"You forgot us! You have abandoned your son!"
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, yeah, it's just
mine was better because it was pathetic, not,
Yeah.
But anyhow. So yeah, then they fight, because,
it's what you do in Pokemon.
Pokemon are like fucking kung fu fighters. They must fight if they meet.
Of course.
Yes. And
that's just the way of things.
As they fight.
Yeah, Blaze just fucking kills them all, and he's like, well,
you're free now.
Yeah, he's releasing them.
Every time he kills them.
And the Pokemon will refuse to actually obey the character's actions.
Yeah, like the trainer, the player, whatever, can't tell them to do anything because they're just like, no.
Yeah, we don't want you to.
And then Charizard uses some special version of flamethrower to
Death Flame,
something like that. Yeah,
and killing them all, and releasing them from their agony and stuff. And then,
then he eats a fucking bullet himself.
Pretty much, yeah.
Does he flamethrower himself?
I don't know. It cuts to darkness, and then there's just like there's a red screen, and then you see the silhouette or something of him, but it's all skeletonized.
I like to think that he like pulled out like a freaking Wakazaki and went Harakiri himself.
Jesus.
But yeah, and then that's what happens.
Yeah, and like the character, he's the girl laments about
she's
how
all
she,
like,
my childhood is gone. I've killed my childhood because I abandoned it because I was too preoccupied with all the other versions of the game. Yeah,
and then she pulls out
pretty much
cartridge
Toy Story
and
morals.
smashes
it, and then it's all blood.
It starts
shit.
bleeding.
it's bleeding, and that's where we get the dark blood, or
Yeah.
the dark blood red color. So I guess it did turn out well in that. It's just when I first saw it, I was like, just little details like that make no sense to me sometimes.
I didn't mind that. Like they went somewhere with it.
Yeah,
It's not
no,
just.
I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
Like, I just like usually that's not the case.
Yeah.
Usually it's just like, oh, this weird slight change to the game. It's like, how would you notice that? Like, I wouldn't know. I would pick up the game.
Yeah,
and be like,
but
oh, cool.
you don't notice a lot of shit.
No, but,
that
like,
most
true.
people would just, like, hey, it's fucking raining.
Even in the.
Really? I am not that bad.
I don't know, man.
God, surrounded.
Yes, you are. But like even in the first game, like I know you're saying small differences and stuff, and you wouldn't notice. But have you seen Pokemon Red, the game?
Yes.
Would you notice a difference if it was dark red and the whole image on the front was all black, really dark, with a pure white Pikachu with bleeding eyes? Would you not notice
Okay, that I would have noticed, but that's from Blood Edition. That's not
No.
from... Was that in the...
That was in the first one too. It had a creepy picture on the front as well.
Oh, no, I knew it was in Blood Edition, but
It was
that
in both.
Blood Red? Really?
Actually, I don't know if in
I
Blood
don't
Edition they even.
know.
I mean, yeah.
I remember it in that one though, because he looked at it, he's like, "Whoa, that's weird," and he plays it, thinking it's
Yeah.
gonna be normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that part. I don't remember it in this one. I just remember this one just having the cartridge darkly colored, or was colored red. So
The
that's
first
all I
one
saw.
actually had a different sticker on it.
Yeah,
too.
that makes sense. Like that one would have like creeped me out a little bit. I was like, ugh. But
Yeah, I get what you're saying. If it was the same sticker and it was only slightly darker red, yeah, you might miss that.
yeah, that's what.
But because the lady in the second one goes, "Oh, that's darker red," I assume it's like a dark, like deep red.
Yeah.
Like you would notice it because it's filled with blood.
I will
It's seeping through the plastic.
I will concede to that because
Yeah.
this one actually did have a payoff.
Yeah.
As minor as this, but yeah, or actually, no,
I think
it
it
was
was a good
actually pretty
payoff.
effective. Yes, yeah.
Well, I mean, fucking Pokemon, so...
I mean, people are going
the
to read
payoff is fucking...
There's a payoff
Gonna
for
be
somewhat,
minimal
at
at
least.
There's a payoff for the people who really want to read Pokemon books,
Yeah.
and not the people that are forced by their friends, in quotes, friends.
I was gonna say, you calling us friends now?
Yeah, you better put those quotations.
I'm gonna fucking hit you harder next time. But, yeah, I mean, this one's definitely way better.
An improvement.
than
Oh,
the
yeah.
one. But, I mean, because it's shorter,
It's
it
actually
skips
not.
everything.
Yeah,
Okay, well, it went by faster for me.
yeah.
I suppose the other one was a lot like it had a lot of just small sentences.
Yeah, that was weird.
The second
but,
one
like,
was huge paragraphs.
Yeah, but that's see, the huge paragraph. Like the paragraphs are at least like they're like formatted properly. Like
Yeah.
the other one was not formatted well
no,
at
the
all.
second
Like,
one's
for some reason
like
it was.
written like an actual story. The first one is just kind of like jot notes.
I
of
actually,
the story.
I actually suggest I gave this or sent the link to this one to Matt from Drunk and the Ugly, and I got back a message that was just like, why this format? Like, did he write it in a chat?
He
like
might
that's
have.
what
You
it's
never
that's
know.
what that's what it looked like. It was like written in chat.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's just like I would have formatted it after I
Yeah.
got it off the chat, copied and pasted off the chat.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I think I was. I don't know. I was just, I don't know.
It's kind of weird because like you mentioned that you like the second one better. I for some reason kind of like the first one better, even though I see a lot more problems with the first one. Because in the first one, it was like a haunted game cartridge, and it somewhat affected things around him. It made someone disappear. It was messing with the lights and stuff. The second one was just a weird cartridge that bled. It didn't. It wasn't as supernatural, I guess. It was
Like it didn't try it up,
and
like,
it didn't
trying
do
to-
anything in the real world.
Yeah, but I just enjoyed reading it more.
Yeah.
Is really
It's written
only
better so
thing.
you can follow it better, and there's less gaps, so there's less problems. I just
And
mean
it
the
makes
card
a hell
itself.
of a lot more. Yeah, but honestly, I don't really. Okay, neither one of these is going to get to me at all because I don't fucking care about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, I'm just completely emotionally detached from both of them.
Okay.
So basically, what it comes down to is who has the better idea of, or who gets their idea across better.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's definitely the second one on that.
I agree with you there.
Because, the first one, there are zero fuck to give. At least I've got a fraction of a fuck to give for the second one.
Yeah, the second one is a lot more emotional and stuff like that. The first one, the kid doesn't really care about anything.
Almost like it's almost the same plot line as Lost. Like it's depressed. It's trying to create like this depression of like, your Pokemon are dead. Kind of thing.
I didn't read that one.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I'm just saying.
For me, this also isn't a rehash of something else I've already read.
Yeah.
So
it is actually also good to get your side of it because you're kind of an outsider coming into like you don't know Pokemon, so you're actually able to look at this a little bit critically than us who have kind of the rose-colored glasses nostalgia.
That, and I mean, I honestly wouldn't say that character in the first one is really in any more danger. I mean, I'd like to point out that he basically gets the worst fucking result playing the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And manages to, go to therapy, have a child.
Yeah.
Theoretically
Nothing
get married.
really happens to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the danger level for him is minimal. I don't even give a shit what happens to his kid.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be anything.
Yeah.
Whereas at least this chick, I mean...
She's gone, like, she had her
I
whole
actually
childhood.
had more more emotional attachment to Blaze
Yes.
than I did to Johnny.
Yeah.
Or Steve or anyone, yeah.
Or
I agree 110%.
fucking the kid
Yeah.
in the first one. So when Blaze was all like, I'm gonna release my friends, or whatever the hell he said.
Yeah, pretty much
That
the same.
was
I was like, you know what?
You've been
You're
abandoned.
not getting me right. Like, you're getting me right in the feels. You're just getting me in the feels with, like moist cloth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's working. It's just, it was never going to be super effective.
Oh! Wow.
These are the jokes. These are our references, folks.
I'm sorry, that's basically the only one I know.
That's really
that worked damn good.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well done.
When it comes to Pokemon,
that's all you got.
That's not me scraping the bottom of the barrel. That's me fucking picking
That's
the
about
fresh
it.
one.
Yeah.
So,
but it's so in that regard, I just all over the place. Like, I've got more emotional investment. I care more about what the hell's happening to whatever her fucking name is.
Oh yeah, she didn't get a name.
We never get a name.
Yeah.
No.
Meanwhile, you got fucking Johnny, Steve, and
That's it.
everyone
Son.
else from the other one, and
Steve Jr.
I just don't care about them.
Or Johnny Jr.
Johnny Jr.
Yeah, not Steve. Yeah.
We get more like names from the Pokemon in either of these.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's
kind of what you expect because that's what people
it's
did.
a
with the
Pokemon
game.
pasta.
Mhm.
People are, like, oh, remember all these Pokemon, and remember
Yeah, it's
them
not
in this
just-
edition of the game, and yada
Yeah.
yada yada. So that does make more sense. But yeah, just I don't know. The unnamed character, I actually give more of a shit about what.
Yeah, I
happened to
agree.
her.
The way that the two stories go for me, the first one is a more supernatural one with almost next to no emotion or anything happening to the
Okay, you
character.
say that,
Yeah, you keep saying.
but you know what? Supernatural. There's power flip.
It just
That's
happens.
literally-
And the sounds.
That's
and sounds
literally all that happens.
But it happens exactly when something happens in the game. I
Yeah.
think it was like
I hear
when
you.
his
when
Pikachu
Pikachu used Thundershock or
Thundershock,
something.
it screwed the lights up.
Yeah.
Okay, but a fucking video game cartridge
Bleeding after you
Oh yeah,
smash it.
I understand that.
It's more down. It's more not grounded, but like, it's more downplayed.
It's less dangerous.
Yeah.
But I would call that
It's
more
freaky.
supernatural.
Yeah,
They're both supernatural, yeah, but one is like
I would actually probably be more freaked out by a bleeding cartridge than the lights flicker.
yeah,
Because the lights flicker
Because the lights
is something
can flicker
that
regardless.
is something that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Like whereas that doesn't happen at all.
Mhm.
Another thing I wanted to actually point out about something that actually kind of irked me about the second one. She's describing how like the Pokemon's screeches of agony are worse and are like super distorted and whatnot. I'm sorry, but Pokemon growlings and whatnot in the original games anyway were just square sounds, so they were distorted to begin with.
so it's distortion within distortion.
It's a distortion within a distortion.
It's distortion chapter,
Yeah.
basically.
It like when she was describing like oh it's demonic and distortion, it's like those sound demonic and distorted already. You don't like wouldn't see a difference. What?
No, but
like
you see, it's a demonic distortion of a demonic distortion. So it's that much more distorted and demonic, you
I
see.
guess.
Basically,
It's just-
the way I'm
Yeah.
seeing, because I've never played a Pokemon game,
Yeah.
so I don't know what these sounds actually sound like in the game. But I also know that Pokemon is meant for kids.
Yeah.
So although it sounds mean and shit, it sounds mean, but it's still for kids. Whereas I'm assuming what she hears, like when she plays it and she's in college, is more something from like Amityville Horror or
where it's like actually like horrifying sounds.
exactly
Blood
where it's
scream.
actually
Yeah.
like it's not trying to get apart or get across that this Pokemon fucking dragon trying to get across that these Pokemon have souls and
You've
they're
left
in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They were abandoned for years.
at least in this point, I was actually thinking that, also your soul's in danger of being devoured by something that makes this sound. And I'm
Yeah.
just like...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just...
So apparently you don't have a grievance with the second one, which makes it perfect in your opinion, which is fine.
No.
I wouldn't say either of them are perfect, because one thing I have that's a problem with both is...
Oh, I wouldn't say either of them are perfect.
You just said
But
that.
No, but he did.
I did not say those are perfect. I said my one of my gripes with
Rewind
it.
the tape.
We're waiting.
No.
No. The audience is rewinding, and they're like, "Yep, he said my one," and then
Okay,
yeah.
welcome
No, I
back.
said...
No,
Okay.
you think it's perfect.
Anyways,
You
as I was
all-
saying, the one problem I have with both of them is the fact that it only happens to one person. So they never, like, even though they have friends, like, I assume the Johnny guy, he has other friends than just him, or
Yeah.
he could talk to his mom or something, and then the unnamed woman, she's living in a dorm.
So
and
she, like, has new
her
roommates, maybe? But
yeah,
yeah.
she's got roommates probably, and, like, her Pokemon game is, like, doing blood-curdling screams, and no one's hearing it. So it's only happening to them, so for all you know, it could just be in their head. They could
Yeah.
just be insane. But if you tie it in with another character,
I
then you
don't
can see
know.
that something is going on
Steve
here. It's
kind of
not.
went missing,
Yeah, we did kind of lose Steve.
and I would.
Yes.
I kind of want to know. Okay, so when Johnny played,
Yeah.
Johnny got, like I said earlier, basically it's got to be the worst fucking case scenario because everything died.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to Steve? Where Johnny's fine.
Yeah. And he lost.
Nothing
like,
happens
happened to
to
him.
Johnny. He gets the worst case scenario, and he gets to have a family.
And
What
Steve...
the fuck happened to Steve?
He said he is not a Pokemon master. Maybe that's what happened.
He must have, yeah, maybe he didn't even, he said, no, I guess I'm not a Pokemon Master. And then, so he chose the red pill over the blue pill.
And then Charizard used Flamethrower on Steve.
When I first started reading it, I was, and like, we saw Professor Oak commit suicide. And
But
we saw,
what I
like,
have
other
to
things
say
happen.
is, like, what the fuck happened to Steve? Because
Yeah. The
why
way I'm seeing it right now
why
is...
isn't Johnny why isn't Johnny dead or missing?
Yeah.
The way it
why
is right
is
now,
Steve
I would rather read the story of what happened to Steve than what happened to Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
Something actually happened to Steve.
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas Johnny, nothing happened.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
like I was trying to say, I think what it tried to insinuate was that he like, or at least what I kind of started thinking when we started seeing, like, Professor Oak with suicide and all that stuff,
Yeah.
was that Johnny, like, spent that week with the game, did the game over thing, and then just walked off into the world and possibly killed himself or something. That's kind of where I was thinking was going on, and then I thought that was what was going to happen with this one by the end, but it never happened. So it was like, yeah.
It's because Johnny is an emotionless creature. So no matter what happens, his best friend goes missing, I don't care.
Yeah.
This game is really, really messed up and disturbing, I don't care. I'm going to go have a family.
Yeah.
See you later.
I'm going to go talk to my psychiatrist. and
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Deal with this problem.
He has no soul. That's he was a ginger.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And
That
it ties
explains
into
a
the
lot.
blood, to the blood, like the red version of the
Exactly.
game. Oh my God.
It all makes sense now.
So yeah, I mean, bottom line, yeah, I don't. It's just there's a lot of problems with both these, but
I see.
Neither one of them is.
There's good
really
in both
good
of them.
Creepy pasta.
No.
yeah,
Because neither one of them really got a great creep factor. But really, I would say if you're going to read... If you want to enjoy a mildly disturbing Pokemon story, I would honestly just skip the
blood edition.
Blood edition
go
and
for
go
Blood
with
Red.
Blood
Go with
Red
Blood Red.
edition.
It's
Yeah.
more wordy, but it actually has, like you said, it hits you in the feels and stuff. Where the first one is just like...
You're asking questions way too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like, I made jot notes of the first one, of problems I have with it.
Yeah.
The second one, I didn't have anything, because there's problems with it, but it's nothing really notable.
yeah.
There's problems with any piece of gonna use this term, and it's really out of turn. With any piece of literature, there's problems.
Yes. It's words on a page, so it's literature.
But the second one handles
it better.
its problems don't really slap you in the face and ruin the story so much as the first one, where
there's a lot of questions in the first one.
Yeah, and
if they were explained, it would have made it a lot better story.
Yeah, but also
I don't know. I feel like the second one was like a lot longer.
It went by a lot quicker for me. That's all I can say about it, is because, like, I don't know. I read the first one, I was like, fuck, just kind of plodded.
Yeah.
Whereas the second one, I'm not going to say that it seemed like things were happening, because nothing really happened, but it felt more it felt more like more of a straight path than the first.
Yeah.
Also, the first one had more in-game stuff, and that always irked.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about a video game character walking around a darkened corridor.
Well, it's because, like, if you've played the normal game, you see why it's different and creepy. Whereas if you've never played a Pokemon game, you're just looking at it going, okay, I'm playing a horror video game. Yeah, so that's not weird.
That is one of the failings of video game creepypasta, is that people try to, like, they add the immersion level for the game.
People try too much to add the immersion of the game, whereas that's not really...
why you go in there.
That shouldn't be the point.
Yeah.
The point should be...
the innocence being corrupted, the nostalgia, the childhood nostalgia being, like, destroyed by whatever the horror is.
Be trying to fucking get me to shit my pants. That's what the focus should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you know, it's supposed to, like, it's fucking creepy. It's supposed to be creepy. You're supposed to try and get me to shit my pants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally, because I do my own laundry, hope they see. But I would like them to get close.
They should at least try. And at least the second one did try. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It tried.
And by, you know, and honestly, I think a good chunk for that is that it didn't have so much in the game. I mean...
and it actually had a story. And
there's literally a paragraph about turning the game on and getting to the confrontation with Blaze.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one had, like, I mean, smaller, but, you know, a bigger chunk of the story from turning on the game to getting to the shadowy Pokemon.
Yeah.
Whatever his name was.
We never find out his actual name.
It's probably Steve.
That's what I was thinking was going to end up being.
Yeah,
but we
never
got
found
that.
out.
Yeah,
if they said that would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like the game closure on
him.
this missing Steve thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, so his kid... it wants to be a Pokemon master like Steve, so his kid has found the cartridge, or Steve has found his way into the new version of a Pokemon cartridge.
Yeah.
Which is also,
Yeah.
It has the same thing as, like,
it
the Princess or Ben.
Saying that shadowy Pokemon master
was named
Steve would have actually solved a lot of problems
with the
whole fucking thing.
I agree.
But he leaves it too ambiguous, so we never find out.
I feel like they made it like it's supposed to be Steve, because that's the way it ends, but they never said it was.
They never actually say it, so we can't really assume that, because...
no, all we can do is assume.
But I mean, like, that's not what we should do this. Like,
I don't know, it does make it better. So
let's assume.
It should have been put in there. But
I mean, it's still the lesser of the two, but...
yeah. Alright.
Steve went missing, nothing was found about him. Shadowy creature in the game. Kid mentions Steve, even though the kid doesn't know Steve.
Years later.
Yeah. We'll assume that Steve got sucked into the video game and became the very best.
Like no one else.
Yes.
Okay. So, that was Pokemon Blood Edition and Pokemon Blood Red Edition. What's everybody's tally for recommendations? I know mine.
I honestly wouldn't recommend either one, really. But if you're a fan of Pokemon, and you've got that nostalgia, obviously it's got to go to Blood Red Edition, because Blood Red Edition, not really a fucking, you know, edge of the seat thrill ride, but at least it's got something going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does something with the story.
It's got a better one than the other one. Yeah, the first one I can't recommend just because of all the problems that I had with it. The second one I would recommend.
You think it's perfect, I know.
Literary genius.
I did not say that!
Told me that on the right here.
But I would recommend it for, like Leviathan said, for Pokemon enthusiasts, or just anybody who played the games, at the very least. So
anyone who still remembers what they named their first Pokemon.
Yeah. Exactly.
For sure.
Gamer in Yellow?
I pretty much agree with both you guys. Both of them have good aspects, but there's a lot more good aspects in the second one. And like we said earlier, if the shadowy guy was named Steve, the first one would be better and they'd be more even-ish, sort of. Not really, but if I had to pick one, I would recommend Blood Red Edition as well.
Okay.
Just because it actually has emotions that, hit you.
Yeah. All right.
It's more effective at what it's trying.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was our episode of Blood Red Edition and Blood Edition for Al Dente Rigamortis. If you would like to contact us, you can leave us a comment in the comment section below wherever this gets posted. We are on Tumblr, Facebook, Kiwi6,
Twitter,
YouTube, and Twitter. For Twitter, we are at Dr. Leviathan and Review Cultist. I don't think you have one.
I'm not on anything. Okay. Don't worry about me.
We are also on iTunes, so you can send us a review. That would be really awesome of you. And, yeah, you can also send us an email at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com, where you can also send us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. So, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.